Hello and welcome to Project 3 of my Arduino board video tutorial series titled Color Shift. And before we get into the components that you'll need for this particular project, I want to point out some things in the schematic so that'll help you understand what's going to happen in this particular project. So if you look here on the schematic diagram, you'll notice a very familiar looking symbol, three of them, which you'll probably notice that it's an LED. But if you notice this dash box around these three LED symbols, this is indicating that this is one component, and this component is a color shifting LED. It's actually one LED that can shift colors between red, green, and blue. And when you combine these three colors, then you can combine them to form other colors in the spectrum. But the way these particular LEDs will shift colors is depends on the amount of uh, voltage that's coming into the particular LED. So the the way that will work is that input will vary depending on the signal that's received from what's coming into the analog inputs over here. So what's connected to these three analog inputs are a component that we have not used before, which are called photoresistors. Now you might recognize this squiggly part of the symbol as a resistor, hence photoresistor. But then notice here that you have the arrows pointing to the component, where that means that light it's collecting light. Now just to be clear that these digital pins can only um, output 5 volts. You either have 5 volts or you don't. You're either on or you're off. And the way this variation will happen is through a process called um, pulse width modulation, commonly referred to as PWM. But I'll go ahead and spell this out for you because this is a very important part of circuits. All right, and this is a symbol that you'll see here for pulse width modulation. And you'll also notice this symbol next to 6 pins here on our Arduino board that is set aside to be able to have pulse width modulation. What that means is that the 5 volts coming out, uh, there is it will vary. It's like a pulse. So let's say if I illustrate the signal of 5 volts coming out, it's high, or we say it's 5 volts out or it's on. And then when it's at 0, then it's low or it's off. Okay, then when it's back on, 5 volts, it's on, it's off. So let's say here it's 0 volts, and then up here is 5 volts. And what these particular pins can do that have the pulse width modulation is that instead of just being on, um, for a particular time, over a period of time, it can modulate. It can modulate on, off, on, off, on, off, and it can do it very quickly, much faster than the human eye. So picture you flipping the light switch on and off very fast, okay? And so if you do it fast enough, it may look like the light is it's a little dimmer than what it is when you actually just leave it on. So if this thing modulates fast enough, then it can give the appearance of the intensity is a little dim, and then depending on, of course, the type of modulation, for example, you can have it on for a long time, then off for a short period of time, then on for a long time, then off for a short period of time, or you can have it on for a short period of time, off for a longer period of time. And you get the idea. And again, when you combine these three colors here, you can create a color shift. So this thing will shift between colors, and the intensity will vary from very bright to being a little dim. So that kind of gives you a little insight into what this particular project is all about. And um, so let's go ahead and collect the particular components that we're going to need.